I'm joking. Uh, my name is Diana Montealegre Beltran. If you want my full name, I have actually 5 names, which I'm not going to bother you with that. I am one of the instructional designers with the Learning Design Group at CU Boulder, University of Colorado Boulder. My main area of expertise, we want to call it there, is digital accessibility and neurodiversity. So today we're going to be talking about 7 simple steps that I believe I'm not going to say that I'm actually quoting somebody or some specific guidelines that I believe will actually help you improve on the creation of your digital content. So let me actually just move this over here. For today's learning outcomes, I am hoping that you can identify basic accessibility principles for digital content, for the creation of digital content, including proper use of headings, alt text for images, and proper use of colors, and others. I also hope that you can actually identify, define, and articulate the principles of digital accessibility and the importance of these for improving the creation of digital content that caters to all audiences. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my video because my computer gets kind of funky when I'm sharing and having my video on. I apologize for that. So in today's agenda, I'm gonna be covering some concepts for digital accessibility, kind of like an introduction for digital accessibility, and wow, 7 simple accessibility guidelines, not six. Let's talk about what digital accessibility means. It means that people with different abilities can easily access and use web and digital content. In this way, many individuals, not everybody, I don't like to say everybody, can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with all of your digital content. Why do I say not everybody? Because the concept of 100% accessible does not exist. There's always going to be something that is a barrier for somebody. There is always going to be something that you can improve. The idea is always to keep improving with each iteration. So yeah, don't expect something that is 100% accessible. That concept is not true. Digital accessibility is many times confused with UDL. Yes, it is fair to say that, but UDL is a more broad concept and digital accessibility is very specific, even though they're both aimed to improving inclusivity and usability for digital content. When it comes to digital accessibility, it's very specific to the design and the development of digital content, platforms, technologies, making websites, applications, all of these resources in a way that is perceivable, operable, and understandable for users with diverse abilities and needs. Also, digital accessibility involves considerations like alternative text, ensuring keyboard navigation for reading order, improving color contrast, supporting screen readers, and all of these things that we're going to be covering today. So here I'm going to talk about the accessibility guidelines that can help you improve all of your digital content. Doesn't matter if it's a Word document, slides, spreadsheets, or even emails. If you apply these digital accessibility guidelines, you will improve your digital content in presentation on the screen and printed as well. So for text formatting, making use of legible fonts and adjusting your text formatting can improve the readability of your text for the majority of the users. A few things to consider when you're writing and formatting text are always picking a sans serif font. What does this mean? That it means that it doesn't have those little stroke or little feet at the end of each stroke for each letter. So for instance, if you remember the preferred for many instructors that is Times New Roman. Unfortunately, Times New Roman has those little feet at the end of each stroke, and that causes issues with readability for people with low vision or people like myself that I have dyslexia, or my son as well. He has dyslexia and dysgraphia on top of that. A few examples for sensor phones is Verdana, Calibri, Arial, and even the new Aptos from Microsoft Office that, by the way, I absolutely love. These are really great ways to improve readability when it comes to the font type that you choose. The other thing to keep in consideration is the font size. I know some people actually says that 11 points, but really I will opt for 12 points when it comes to document. The reason why I say this is because even though the size might be the same across different fonts types, like serif fonts, some are a little bit smaller than the other ones. And I invite you to actually do that exercise. Just type a lot of craziness in a Word document, pick one Verdana, one Calibri, one Area, one Aptos, and make them all 12 points. You will see that there is a slight difference because of the family font that we pick. The next thing to keep in consideration is the line spacing. The line spacing, single line spacing tends to create a cramped reading space, which decreases readability. I don't know if you have ever experienced, it happens to me quite often, that when I'm reading a book, I actually try to jump to the next line, but I find myself reading the same line that I was reading previously. So increasing that line spacing improves readability and comprehension of the text. Some user, like I said, might experience getting lost and skipping lines and losing the context of what they're reading. The line spacing that I would recommend to start is 1.2.5, but actually, if you go to 1.5, it's even better. At least for me, I prefer 1.5. What I'm presenting right now to you is 1.5, and you can see that it's clear. There is not a lot of mixing in there, so it actually works really well. Another thing to keep in consideration is using the paragraph styles and the formatted lists that are within the applications. So most applications, if you look, they're gonna have actually like heading styles, strong styles, emphases, and formatted bulleted points or numbered list. These are important um, specifically for screen reader users. For the majority of us that we are visual users, we can see if a text is bigger, if it's bold, if it has a different color, if I have numbers between the text, or if I have bullets. But if I do this manually for a screen reader, it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to tell the user, hey, the next text is actually important because it's bolded, or it's a quote, or it's an emphasis, or it's a list if I do it manually. But if I use the built-in styles that my applications offer, it will let them know that there is an emphasis in the text, or that the following is a list of 5 items, and it starts reading the items one by one. So that's why it's important. And finally, it is recommended to use the alignment tools and the indentation tools to create white space or to align text as needed, instead of using the spacebar or the tabulation. Because when we do that, especially again for a screen reader users, it will actually say every space that you have. Imagine you having 60 white space to make something, in the middle of your page. It's gonna say blank, 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 space bar, depending on what a screen reader users they're using. But it is also important to use it for visual users, because if I actually use the tab or the space bar, depending on the screen size that I'm using, yeah, it might look well for me because I am basing it on my screen size. But if somebody's actually, looking at that document in a phone or in a tablet or in a bigger screen, it might not be centered anymore. I know that probably there's going to be a lot of questions, perhaps not, perhaps I'm wrong. But I would like to hold the questions for the end of the presentation, if that's okay. And I would like you to share your individual accessibility guidelines that you have in mind as well. So now let's talk about headings. When creating a new document, whether it is a page in your LMS, a Word document, a Google document, or even slides, it is important to create headings, to create blocks of text and organize the information you are presenting. Think of headings are the sections, the chapters, modules or submodules of your book, where your heading 1 is the title of your book, your heading 2 are the chapters, and your heading 3 are the sections within each chapter, and so on. When you create headings, you should always you should always use the built-in and predefined heading styles like I was mentioning before, that the different applications offers, because this will make your document navigable by mouse, keyboard, and any assistive technology. If we just do what I mentioned in the slide before, if you actually just highlight your text, make it big, make it bold, make it prettier, It's great for visual users, but it's not great for somebody that is using a screen reader because they're not able to actually visualize those changes, and the screen reader is not going to identify those visual changes either. So that's why it is important to use your built-in heading styles. Tables. Dun, dun, dun. Tables is one of the most complex elements, in my opinion, when it comes to accessibility. So I'm going to just try to cover the basics. There are three things that you should keep in mind when creating tables. Number one, always specify the header row of the tables with the built-in applications. Why is this important? Because this actually gives you the scope of the table. So in this example, for instance, I'm going to take, this as my header row. This is my class, group one. Imagine that instead of being just 3 rows, is 100 of them. Every time that it jumps from row to row, it's going to repeat the header row to give a scope of the table to the user that is actually listening to that out loud. So it's going to say class one, group one, 82, group two, 5. Once again, class two, group one, da-da-da, group two, da-da-da. If I don't have this, it's not going to repeat it. It's just going to go from row to row to row. By the time that I'm in row 20, I don't know what they're talking about anymore. So it might lose context and it might actually get the screen reader user a little bit lost in the context of the table. And that's why it's important that you always specify the header row. The next thing is do not leave blank spaces. This can cause confusion for assistive technology users. And in the worst case scenario, a screen reader sometimes might assume that the blank cell indicates the end of the table. So once my screen reader jumps here, it's gonna say there is nothing else, for me to read. I'm gonna jump to whatever comes next. If it's a paragraph, a document, um, an image, whatever it is, it's gonna skip the rest of the table. I know a lot of people like to have the blank cell in here. So a little trick that I actually use, I just put blank cell. I literally type blank cell and make that text the same color of the background. In that way, it's not there for visual users, but it is there for screen reader users. If not, just put NA or blank cell or whatever you want. And finally, when it comes to the merge and split cells, so do not merge or split cells. Each cell should belong to only one table headings. This also creates issues with the reading order for assistive technology users. So in here, in this case, my screen reader is not going to know this 90 where it belongs to. And it actually might just assign it to group two, not giving any information to group one, or actually skipping this row entirely. So it creates a lot of confusion for the assistive technology. Hopefully, someday screen readers are going to be a little bit more, I don't know, smarter, and they will be able to identify these issues. Now, when it comes to descriptive hyperlinks, excuse me. When presenting hyperlinks in our documents, we always want to make sure that they are meaningful and that they provide users with enough information about the link that they're about to open. Providing long URLs like this one that you see here or vague text like here creates a lot of confusions as to what kind of resource you are presenting and where this link will take users to. A good rule when creating descriptive hyperlinks is to provide the name of the resource, like I do here, and to present on to say what kind of resource it is. Is it a video, a presentation, an article? In this case, it's a newsletter. So these two links actually will take the users to the same resource. But this one is not descriptive. If somebody actually sends this to me in an email, I'm most likely not going to open it because I don't know if it's a spam. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what it will take me. But this is actually very on point. It takes me that it's going to take me to the Digital Accessibility Office accessibility minute newsletter. So key points for writing descriptive hyperlinks. Number one, describe the destination and the resource type, like I mentioned before. Number two, be concise because you don't want to actually have a lot of text that is a link. Just like I said, something short and sweet. Number three, avoid URLs like the ones that we saw before as link text. Even if it's something short, you will prefer to actually give a descriptive hyperlink. Another thing is to avoid repeating link text. So if you're gonna have the same link that is actually taking you to the same video, try to avoid that. Try just to, link it once, or try to change the name in the same document. And finally, differentiate the links visually. Most applications nowadays do that for you. Usually they tend to like pick a blue color. Some applications I don't like because they actually pick a blue color that is a little bit too light and the contrast might not be great, but you can change that. And one that I actually forgot to add here is do not underline any text that is not a link. It creates a lot of confusions, especially for cognitive users that have, cognitive disabilities. My son has cognitive disabilities and myself as well. And if I see this, for instance, with an underline, I'm going to be hovering my mouse to see if it's actually a link or not. Now, alternative text. Oops, sorry about that. Alternative text is crucial for screen reader users. These users rely to the information to be read out loud to them, and the descriptions of the images are important for them to get this information. Only images that are conveying meaning to the content presented need to have alternative text. Images that are used just for the purpose of decoration should be marked as decorative only. Because I don't want, like, let's say, because I like this little, corners here. So I actually just threw um a bunch of triangles and I just put them together with the colors of the university. Imagine me describing that. It's not important. It's not relevant to the context and it's just noise. So I will mark that as decoration in a way my screen reader will totally skip that content. Um, but, but with the rest of the information, if I'm actually presenting an image that is relatable to the content, then yes, you want to provide that information in there. So a few key points when writing alternative text to be descriptive and keep it context related, like I mentioned. You want to make sure that you're not just describing how the image looks, like the visuals of the image, but also how that image is related to the context that you are presenting. Keep it short and descriptive, and don't include the words of image of or picture of, because the screen reader will actually add these for it, so it will be redundant if you add that. If you find yourself writing more than 150 characters for an alt text, it might be best to actually add the description of that visual element in the actual body of the document. And as an alt text, you can simply add the words of, I don't know, full description of the image or graph below or above. Another thing is you want to provide the functional description for functional image. I'm gonna go back into the slide here. So imagine me actually describing here, green circle with play in white. That's not important. A person that has actually a visual impairment wouldn't mind what color it is. They care is about the functionality. So it's a play, pause, and stop audio video control icons because that's what is important in this case. Color and contrast, and I know that I'm trying to run because I want to have time for comments and questions. So I apologize for that. Color and contrast are important part of any digital or printed documentation, but it is vital to follow certain guidelines to make sure that your content is a little bit more accessible for most users. Two things to keep in mind when using color. Make sure that you're not using color alone to convey meaning. I see that a lot and I get it. I seriously get it because I like to make things pretty, highlight things to get the attention. But unfortunately, color alone is gonna cause problems. And I'm gonna show you here this example. These are two tables that I created, and I just said, okay, in the first table, that is the one on the top, I'm saying, okay, the asynchronous, the days on red are asynchronous school days, and the days in blue are synchronous school days. What about if I print this in black and white? Because I don't have a computer at my house all the time, so I need to have it printed. I won't be able to see that context anymore. That context of blue and red is totally lost when I print it in black and white. What if I'm actually colorblind? I won't be able to see this either. I will know which one is blue or which one is red, depending on what color blindness the user has. So what is a great way to keep your colors, keep it all pretty, but also have meaning? I just added an extra column, meeting time. And I say, okay, Monday is synchronous, Tuesday is asynchronous, Wednesday is synchronous, and so on. In this way, when somebody prints it in grayscale, they still will be able to see that. Or if somebody's actually colorblind, they will be able to do the correlation as well. Going back to, apologies. And then another thing is to make sure there is enough contrast between the background and the foreground when using colors. Foreground is just pretty much what is on top of the background. In this example that I'm showing here, we can see how difficult it is to read the yellow text over white. And even for some users, that light green or that bright red is really difficult to read as well. So we have to be very mindful of how we use colors and what colors we're gonna use in combination. You want your text to definitely pop from the screen. Obviously, I have perfect contrast when I use, black over white or the opposite, but you can actually just use other colors. You can have that blue, you can have that green, you can have that red. Yellow is definitely a no-no. Even when it's in black text, because it actually smush over I mean, background, because it kind of gets smushy on the background. So yeah, keep in mind there is a tool by the Paciello group. I think they actually changed their name, and it's called the Color Contrast Analyzer. I will send you the link here in a minute, and it's a free tool. It has a little dropper, and you pick the color in the front, you pick the color in the back, and it will tell you it's great for small and large text, or no, it's not great. You can actually change a little bit the text, the color of the text to see which color exactly you can use that it will pass. And finally, the reading order. The reading order is an easy way for you to check the accessibility to some degree of your document. The most simple way to check the reading order of your document is by navigating the content by using only the keyboard. We have a lot of users that are keyboard users only, or actually they use their eyes, but that's more advanced. How do you do that? You just tab through all of the elements of your documents, including the headings, the paragraph, the links, and check if when you are tabbing, it's showing it in the correct order that they appear in the page. If they actually jump from, let's say, this heading one and skip a whole paragraph and jumps to another one, that means that your reading order is kind of off. It's very easy to do this, especially in PDF and HTML pages, which means the LMS pages. It comes a little bit trickier when it comes to Word documents or Google Docs because the tab will actually just move things around. But this manual testing method simulates the experience of users who rely on keyboard navigation and a screen reader, and it will help you identify any inconsistencies in the reading order. And that's all I have for you. Any questions or any comments that you have? Thank you, Kat, for that. Absolutely, that's a great question. So something that I like to do, I either, I provide the descriptive hyperlink, and I either create, depending of the document that I'm using, I create a footnote with a short URL, so a bit.ly, or a tiny URL, or putting in parentheses, but make sure that that URL is not clickable, is not an actual active link, it's just the printed. Any other questions or any accessibility tips that you actually implement in your institutions? QR codes. That is an interesting one. So when it comes to QR codes, because they are images, I definitely create an alt text. I do not provide the URL in the alt text because the screen readers and alt text, when it comes to URLs, are not super friendly. So I actually just provide the URL below the QR code, and I make the alt text of the QR code something as, this QR code will take you to whatever resource that you are describing. Please find the link below. Do you think this is simply preference for which resources to use check color contrast? Do you prefer the URL that you choose? No, no, the Wedding is actually a really good tool. I just have been using the color contrast analyzer for so long. And actually, let me see if I can share that with you real quick. 'Cause I'm not sure if it's the one that Cat uh, share. Oh, that's the one that I use. The reason why I like it is because I can download it to my computer and have it anywhere. I know that the one in WebAIM is more like a web-based resource, but it works as well. You're welcome. Any other burning questions or any comments? I would really love to hear what others are doing at their institution when it comes to accessibility. Hmm. Believe it or not, one of the most common issues that I find that people can actually just start implementing right away is using the wrong font size and font type. I have a hard time with a lot of emails that come my way because they just have funky fonts because they want to make them, fun and entertaining and pretty. But for a dyslexic person as myself, I have a hard time reading those texts. And find myself actually taking the text that is in the email, putting it in Word, making it an Arial, and then be able to read it. So that's something that I find that it's one of the most common issues with newsletter as well that they send, all of the subscriptions that you get from different websites or different, learning communities. It they tend to have issues with that text and the way that they are rendering the text. Kat, I invite you to unmute yourself if you want to talk more about this, because I know that you have a lot of questions. Or anybody in the chat.
One of the issues I'm still seeing frequently, and it's mostly in those emails, is poor use of link text.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How do
Absolutely. Or
you how do you gently and effectively give feedback on that?
effectively, gently, gently, yeah, but effectively, I don't know about that. Um, I don't know, at least in my experience, like I said, I work for CEO Boulder and for Ranch Community College, is we can keep pushing and pushing, but as long as we don't have the support from the higher ups, nothing is going to really take place.
Well, we're at a great time in
I have had,
accessibility right now.
what was that?
We are at a great space right now for accessibility, considering our
Absolutely,
House bill,
absolutely.
etc.
Which, 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 with the new bill, HB 21, there is more pressure but I don't know if you attended the hearing that they had in February. Even
Mhm.
though there is more pressure, a lot of people are actually even pushing more back to get a little bit more of freedom when it comes, especially in the internal facing of things, which creates kind of like a gray area because technically speaking, your LMS is an internal facing. So a lot of people are gonna, hold on to that. No, they're trying to just do July 1st, just public facing, public facing, public facing, and give us a little bit more time for the internal facing. I don't know where that's gonna go because I know that there is a lot of conversations going on still, and I would love to know if they consider whatever is put in the LMS as public or internal facing, because technically speaking, yeah, it is protected by a wall, but it is still reaching our students and our instructors as well. Another thing that bothers me, at least personally, is that yeah, there is a lot of resources for students, but there is not a lot of resources for staff and faculty. I have a faculty member that is blind and he has been jumping through many hoops to be able to submit his grades because there is not resources for them. They were focusing just in the students, but not on the people that actually are helping us to create this content and educating our students.
That's one of the advantages of this current bill, in my opinion, is because we do have the responsibility both internally and externally now.
Mhm.
Providing an inaccessible timesheet, such as I know certain people have experienced at CU, that will become a violation.
Yeah. It will, but like I said, they haven't actually say it quite yet. They
Actually,
haven't. So the last time that I talk, I have a lot of people that I talk at the state office, and they say that they're reconsidering the dates, and they say that they're doing this, and then like because there is a lot of pushback. So I know, Catherine, I think you are a CU Boulder.
was.
You were?
Yeah,
Not anymore. Oh, okay. So I cannot invite you because it's just for CU Boulder. We're gonna have somebody actually from the OIT state come talk to us on April 23rd because there is a lot of burning questions.
it's
So I
still the
know that Katie,
responsibilities we had all along. The only difference is we can file on the state level. So anyone with a disability has their civil rights violated by inaccessible content. You know, if I can't read an email that someone sends me, I can't do my job.
Mhm,
And
absolutely.
that's
Yeah, but I mean, let's look, let's be realistic here. When was when was the Rehab Act? When did it come out? Like
initial
especially Section 508. You know,
1972 came out, was the initial.
that
1970
was
made the
504, but
initial.
508 came in the
No,
night.
the Rehab Act was of 1972.
Okay,
508
that one,
508 was released
mm,
early
92, I think.
late 90s, early thousands.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was 98, 98, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, it has been around for a while. I mean, 98 being around for a while. And there is still people that push back. There is still people that has not paid attention. It has become actually an important subject in the last, I want to say the last 5 to 10 years, maybe. Before that, not really. And there is still a lot of pushback because I have heard comments from all over, from different institutions. Well, I teach this or this or this. I teach blueprint reading. I'm not gonna have a blind student in my course because they cannot read the blueprint. Like I get those comments quite often in conferences, in meetings, a lot of pushback and a lot of misconception that if you are actually making things accessible, you are just catering to a specific group that is the blind users because that's a misconception. Like they think accessibility is just blind users. I was like, no, I'm not blind, but I'm heavily dyslexic. And these accessibility options help me tremendously, especially when I have very little sleep like I had last night. 'Cause if not, I cannot read. And if, like I said, if you start actually, exactly, it's useful for all. And like I said, just implementing these basic guidelines from the beginning will save you a lot of headaches. Um, it's harder to remediate than to create accessible content from the beginning. I have had to remediate many documents, and it's many times it's like, no, I'm just gonna recreate the whole document because it's harder to remediate it than actually create it new. Katie, I'm curious to know what department are you at Enches?
I'm School of Medicine.
Oh, awesome. And you guys have somebody there that is for accessibility or just the instructional design as a whole?
That would be me. I am the only instructional designer.
Oh, wow. You have a lot of responsibility on you.
Yes.
Um, um, I know that because we are CU Boulder, I mean, CU, I'm sorry, we all have, I don't know if you have heard, but there is a whole committee that is talking about this system level. I don't know if you guys have had any guidance. I know that we haven't get much of guidance, but I don't know what have you heard on your end when it comes to the bill.
Not much so far. I think we're just getting off of the ground. We do have a group of instructional designers and folks who are focused on accessibility across the campus, but nothing formal has gotten off the ground yet.
Yeah, we have the digital accessibility office as well at CU Boulder that is dedicated to that as well. They're
Mhm.
kind of our bridge for all of this, but as instructional designers, we're always keeping that in mind.
Yes, of course. Agreed.
Well, thank you all so much. I know that we're pretty much at the end. I appreciate you all being here. And Katha, Katie, I will actually love to connect more with you too to talk more about this.
Yes, I'd
It
love
was a
that.
pleasure.
Sounds good. Well, thank you. And don't forget to evaluate the session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for hosting for me. I appreciate it so much.